Sahana vavatu, sahano bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavadhitamastu mavit vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Stotram. Akhanda mandalakaram vyaptam yena characharam tatpadam darsitam yena tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Ajnana timirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshur militam yena tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Stavaram Jangamam Yaptam, Yatkim Chis Sacharacharam, Tatpadam Darsitam Yena, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam vyapiyat sarvam trailokyam sacharacharam tatpadam darsitam yena tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva bandhuscha sakha tvameva vidya dravidam tvameva Tvameva sarvam mamadeva deva Tvameva sarvam gurudeva deva. Hari Om. We are doing Atmabodha. Last class you were quoting the sloka 8. Upadani akhiladhare, Upadani akhiladhare, Jaganti parameshware, Jaganti parameshware, Sargastiti layan yanti, Sargastiti layan yanti, Budbhudani vavaruni, Budbhudani vavaruni. Together. Upadani khiladhare, Jaganti parameshware, Sargastiti layan yanti, Budbhudani vavaruni. So in this sloka, as we discussed, the Ishvara is being defined as Jagat Karta and Jagat Karanam. Jagat Karta means he is the efficient cause or intelligent cause, and Nimitta Karanam, and also he is Upadana Karanam, a material cause. So if the Lord wants to create, where does he get material for creation? He cannot look for somewhere else, because there is nothing other than the Lord before the creation. Therefore, even the material for creation has to come from Him. Therefore, He Himself became many. That's what the scripture says. Tadaikshata bahusyam prada eeti. Let me become many. And He became many. Therefore, He Himself became the many as the material cause for the universe. and upadane akila adhare. Therefore, if it is a material cause, it supports the whole universe, just as gold is the material cause for all the ornaments. Therefore, it supports all the ornaments. Without the gold, there cannot be ornaments. I cannot remove the gold and give you back a ring or a necklace and a bangle. So without the presence of the gold there cannot have any existence for the ring and a bangle and necklace. The forms cannot exist by themselves. In the same way, Jaganti, for the universe, Parameshware, Upadane, Akiladhare, and he is both material, he is the material cause for, and therefore he supports all that. And therefore, without the presence of the Lord, there cannot be any existence itself for the Jagat. So for the world to exist, the supporting Adharam or Dharyati Jagatu that supports the very existence of the universe itself is Parameshwara, is the Lord himself. Therefore, the definition of the Lord, Brahman, is the one from which the whole universe came and by which it is sustained. Sustained means it is Upadana Karanam, and into which it goes back. So, Sarga Sthiti Laya. Example here is, from the water there are the bubbles of the water is forming from the water only. Therefore, it is nothing but the water only, and it's only a name and form, but supported by the water. If I remove the water, there cannot be the bubbles of the water. So it is Sarga Sthiti Laya, the origin and sustenance and dissolution all takes place on the platform of Parameshwara. So he himself provides the basis for Sarga, for the creation, and for the Sthiti, for maintenance, and Laya, for the dissolution. This we split it as Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, as the three aspects of the God. So implication is, the world is nothing but God himself in different forms. So if I am looking for a God, where should I go? So everything is nothing but God only, because God, we say God is all pervading. So which means that everything that I see is nothing but God in a different form. So it is essentially Upadana Karanam. So if I understand it, then I have to understand that what I am dealing with, whole universe itself, that universe that I am dealing with is nothing but God only. So I have to have a clear understanding, a vision has to be there while I am looking at different varieties of the objects that I am perceiving. So with that, we go to the next sloka. Satchidatmanyanusyute Satchidatmanyanusyute Nitye Vishnu Prakalpitaha Nitye Vishnu Prakalpitaha Vyaktayo Vividha Sarvaha Vyaktayo Vividha Sarvaha Hatake Katakadivatu Hatake Katakadivatu. Together, Satchidatmanyanusyute Nitye Vishnu Prakalpitaha Vyaktayo Vividha Sarvaha Hatake Katakadivatu. Satchit Atmani Anusyute. Says Atmani in this self, that is of the nature of existence, Sat, and of the nature of consciousness. So Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam Brahma, that's what Taittiriya Upanishad defines as Swarupa Lakshanam. It is its intrinsic nature is existence, and it is of the nature of consciousness. So existent and consciousness are not too different. It is from the point of existence, it is existence. From the point of consciousness, it is consciousness. That is, it is of the conscious existence. And Anusyote, it is all pervading. That means it is Anantam. So it is Sat Chit Ananda Swarupam. So Sat Chit Ananda Swarupa Brahma, which is Nitya, which is eternally present. That means there was never a time existence or consciousness or absent, and there will never be a time they will disappear. Therefore, it is eternal. Eternal is not a concept of time. Eternal goes beyond the concept of time. It is timeless. And Vishnu prakalpitaha. So, on the Vishnu, Vishnu is here, Vishnu is Sarva Vyapakaha, the one who pervades everything, that which Satchit Ananda Swarupam, that is pervading everything, which can be expressed as Vishnu, that's called Vishnu Sahasranama, Vishvam, Vishnu Vashatkaro, that's how the Vishnu Sahasranama Nama starts. So it is that which is all pervading, that Vishnu Vyapakaha is, this whole universe is prakalpitaha. It is kalpana. Kalpana means it is projected as though it is real, but is not really real. Prakarshena kalpita. So here the Shankara uses word as though it is not a real creation. It's not a parinamam. Parinamam means a transformation where it is one transforming into something other than itself, like milk becoming into the curds or yogurt, and where the transformation is milk completely transforms into the yogurt or the curds, where it's almost irreversible transformation there. But it's not like that. It is as though transforming. And he gives an example, is Hatake Katakadivatu. Just as the gold transforming into varieties of ornaments. Katakadi is bracelet, etc., Adi, etc., etc. So ring and a bangle and a bracelet, necklace, all these varieties of the ornaments are formed, and they are transformed from gold itself. So gold is the upadana karanam, the material cause, and these are products. So the cause and effect seems to be there. But this cause effect this is a very peculiar transformation, comes from the scriptural statement itself. This example is in fact from the scripture. Yatha saumya ekena lohamanina sarvam lohamayam vijñāta vacharambanam vikaro namadheyam lohamiti eva satyam. So just as my child, this from the gold all varieties of ornaments are formed, and it is a transformation, but it's not really a transformation. So it is called transformationless transformation. So in science we know there are types of transformations, a reversible transformation, an irreversible transformation, but this is a peculiar transformation, doesn't belong to any one of that. It is a transformationless transformation. Therefore, it is not really transforming, but appears to be transforming. Therefore, Vishnu prakalpitaha, it is as though projected as different types, vyaktayoho vividhas sarvaha. So, sarvaha, varieties and varieties of Vida is projected as though Vyaktaha means manifestation of names and forms, distinguishing features where I can differentiate one name from other name. So Yaktaha is expression or manifestation, and same thing Upanishad says, this is Vacharambanam Vikaraha. Vikaraha, this transformation is only at the level of Vak, which is only at the speech level, that is only namke vaste. That means it's not a real transformation. Therefore, the Shankara says, Nitye Vishnu prakalpitaha. It's only a projection as though. Says, Hatake katakadivatu. Just as varieties and varieties of ornaments are coming out from the gold. Now we have to look at this little bit and apply it in our day-to-day transactions. So if I understand this, Hatake katakadivatu, from the gold all the ornaments have come. So if the ring and the bangle look different because the ring attributes vyaktaha, vyaktayaha, vividhaha, sarvaha, varieties and varieties of names and forms have formed. So ring is different from a bangle because the qualities, attributes and the date of birth, etc., of ring can be different from a bangle. Now when the ring and the bangle and the necklace formed, it is forming from the gold. So if you ask the gold, when did you form a ring? So gold may laugh at us, says, I never formed a ring because I was gold, I am gold and I will be gold. I have not become anything yet. There is a ring, there is a bangle, there is a necklace different from gold per se. Gold is a noun and ring is another noun and bangle is another noun, and each noun is different. Each noun is qualified by their attributes. So ring attributes the ID means internal diameter, ID, OD, ellipticity, all those properties of the ring that they do not belong to the gold. Gold doesn't have ID or OD, and those are properties of the ring. So if I ask the gold, have you become a ring? It says no. They are all in me, but I am beyond all of them. It says therefore, the jivas come from me, sustained by me, they go back into me. So but at the same time, their properties, their suffering, their life, and all those things have nothing to do with me. The ring can be modifying, ring can be undergoing transformation itself. Those transformations have nothing to do with the gold. So ring can become a bangle, bangle can become a bracelet, but gold still remains when it is a ring form or a bangle form or a bracelet form. So from the point of gold, it is nitya, it is eternally present as far as the example is, whereas the ring is not eternal. It has a date of birth, and that which is born has to die one day. So therefore, it has a date of death. Therefore, it is anityam. So this information tells us there is in what we see things that are transforming, the ring and the bangle and the necklace and the bracelet. At the same time, things that does not undergo any transformation. So there are two things all the time. So when I say ring, it is also gold. So there is only one unit, which is a ring, but at the same time there are two there. One is a ring, another is the gold. Are there two things there? No, there is only one thing. But we say ring is different from a gold. So what is the relation between the ring and the gold? So one is vyaktaha. That means it is a manifested form, and behind the manifestation there is avyakta swarupam, unmanifest, which is formless. Gold is there that pervades and that provides the support for this manifestation. Implication is, in every manifestation, the manifestation itself continuously changes and the whole world continuously changes. That's what Jagat means. Jayate, Gacchate, iti Jagat. That continuously undergoes modifications. But in and through the modifications, there has to be something that is changeless entity in the changing things. And that's law of conservation. That which remains the same in all, that is Nitya, and that is Vishnu, that pervades the gold, pervades the ring, pervades the bangle, pervades the bracelet, and pervades all the ornaments of the gold. And the same way, that which pervades the whole universe is Nityam, and that is Satchidatma, that which is the existent consciousness, and that is Anusyuti, that is all pervading, and that itself is expressing in different form. So here we have two things in the form of a ring. One is that which undergoes transformation, and the other one is that which does not undergo any transformation or vikara. So one is akara. Akara is the ring form which undergoes vikara, which undergoes from ring form to a bangle or a bracelet or some other form, and therefore that transformation of a ring into a bangle is a destructive transformation. So when I change the ring into a bangle, now ring is gone, now bangle is. So that is called parinamam. Parinamam means a transformation where the previous one is completely negated or dismissed. And the same way as milk transforming into curds or yogurt. Therefore, that kind of transformation is there at a superficial level. So ring is transforming into a bangle, bangle is transforming into a bracelet. So these transformations are destructive transformations or parinama. But behind the transformation, behind this parinama, this vivarta transformation, where without undergoing transformation, it's only an apparent transformation. That which remains the same in all these transformations, that is because it is nityam. And that which is eternally present in the ring form, in the bangle form. So when the ring becomes a bangle, the gold has not gone any transformation. Gold or AU, element still remains as AU only in this transformation. So this is prakalpana. Prakalpa means a transformation but appears to be there, but is not really there. From the gold point, there is no transformation. From the ring point, there is a transformation. So depending upon the vision of the person who is looking at it, one can pay attention to the ring and the bangle and the necklace, and only those are superficial names and forms imposed on the substratum, which is the gold. If I pay attention to the names and forms, then they are transforming continuously. Whereas if I pay attention to the essence, the substantive knowledge, that it is nothing but the gold, the cost of it depends, or the value of it depends upon, not on the ring form, but on the form of how much gold it is or how pure that gold is. So this has to be applied in our day-to-day transactions also. Continuously the world is changing. Jagat is continuously changing. Things are coming and things are going. Dhyayaminyau sayam prataha sasiravasanto punarayataha kala kridati gachatyayuhu tadapina pinchatya ashavayuhu. So the days come, the days go, the seasons come, the seasons go, and we have complained this one, when it is too hot we have complained, when it is too cold we have complained, when it is raining it's complained, when it doesn't raining it's complained. All the time we complain only, but everything is continuously changing. If we pay attention to the substratum, which is changeless in all these changing things, that is, we have to pay attention to the Vishnu that is pervading all this changing things, then our vision will be different, our understanding will be different. We do not get carried away with the superficial changes. The value of the gold depends upon, the value of the ring or a bangle or necklace depends upon the gold only. Therefore, the value of the world also depends upon that which is supporting this, by which it is sustained and into which it goes back. That Vishnu is the real Vishnu or the real truth behind it, and that's what we need to apply. So as a sadhana, once we understand this, in our day-to-day transactions we should have this vision, and that becomes Atmabodha. Atmabodha is looking at the whole world is nothing but supported by the Atma, and that's what is essentially the clear knowledge of the Advaita. Essentially, Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya. Mithya means the one that is continuously changing is considered as Mithya. Neither Sat nor Asat. That we can go to the next sloka. All these examples emphasize somewhat similar points. So you can see the next sloka also, the same aspect. Yathakasho Hrushikesho Yathakasho Hrushikesho Nanopadigato Vibhu Nanopadigato Vibhu Tadbedat Bhinnavad Bhati Tadbedat Bhinnavad Bhati Tannase Kevalo Bhavet Tannase kevalo bhavet. Together. Yatha kasho hrushikesho nanopadigato vibhuhu tadbhedat bhinnavad bhati tannase kevalo bhavet. Yatha, here is another example that we are all familiar, and this is a more subtle that we know it, at the same time it escapes our attention. Yatha akashaha Hushikesha nana upadigato vibhuhu tad bedhat binnavad bhati tannase kevalo bhavet. So, just as yatha akashaha, just as this space, nana upadigato vibhuhu, it is nana upadigataha, so associated with varieties of the upadhi, these conditionings here, whatever the conditionings, the space is accommodated in that form, and in the same way, essentially what implication is, space is very subtle. At the same time, we divide the space. Nainam chindanti sastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha applies to the space also. We cannot burn the space, we cannot cut the space, we cannot divide the space, we cannot wet the space, and any of the things that cannot be done at all, but yet we say this is my space and that is your space. So we are dividing space as this is mine and that is yours by putting a walls there. By conditioning the space, we are dividing that which cannot be divided. That's the sense of it here. In the sense that space, which is in the case of previous example, we are talking about the gold, but gold is different from iron, iron is different from stainless steel, and so on and so forth. So that is one example application that we are, but now the example is taken to a more subtler level where we are familiar, which is a space, which is subtlest element, Shabda, Sparsa, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha we are talking about. The Shabda is the property of the space itself, Akashat, Vayuhu, Agni, Apaha, Prithvi. Therefore, these 5 elements, the model elements that are formed, that is the subtlest of that is the Akasha. But yet, this which cannot be divided, we are dividing it, and in the same house, this is my house, then again we subdivided, this is the kitchen and this is the bathroom and this is the bedroom, and what we do in the kitchen is different from what we do in the bathroom and what we do in the bedroom. So we are making a division and we are providing qualifications and say, hey, I do not have enough space to accommodate anybody more. Why? My walls are restricting the things that are conditioned here. So conditioned space says this is my space and this is a room space, this is a bathroom space, this is all are within our own mind. Even the conditions or conditionings also, the one that is walls that are dividing one room from the other are also in space only. So therefore, that which cannot be conditioned, but we are conditioning by putting an upadhi and say this is separate from the other one, these are all our notions only. From the point of space, it cannot be divided, it cannot be conditioned, and therefore, what should I do to see all pervasive space? Do I have to break these walls in order to say that the space is only one? So here we have to understand, through intellectually we can understand and say it is, the divisions are only superficial, that which pervades the whole thing is one only, that understanding has to come. So tad bedhat binnavad bhati, tad bedhat, this upadhi bedhat, because of the differences of the conditionings are different. A pot space is different, room space is different, hall space is different, college space is different. So we are all dividing as a different spaces, and people divide, this is my country, this is your country, and all that by based on the land that in which, and dividing the space also in the process. But that is all only because of our superimposed divisions that we have given to the upadhis. So if the upadhi is removed, tannashe kevalo bhavet. If I remove or destroy the upadhis, then the one that is pervading becomes one as though, just as the pot space If I want to see oneness of the part space with the total space, if I say this part is different and that part is different, the space inside, there is not enough space in this part, all that our transactional the statements have no validity. Suppose if I break those parts, or if I break a part, what happens to the space? Now this space merges with the total space. It is as though merges because there is no really division to start with. It is actually oneness, including the walls also, it was in the space. So therefore, tan nashe, so nasha is only on a destruction of the so-called upadhis is only a conditional destruction, and tannase kevalo bhaved, it is one as indestructible space that was before. So essentially, what should I do that all-pervading Vishnu? I don't see that all-pervading Vishnu, because all-pervading cannot be seen through perceptual process, but I had to see through Jnana Chakshu, by understanding, say I see, yes I know I see now, means I understand the truth behind it. In the same way, I had to intellectually analyze that the part space is not different from the total space. This division is only for transaction purposes. In reality, there is no division at all. So in the space, in the same way, the total Satchidanandas, that which is the existent consciousness, which was there before creation, which itself became many into divisions. So each division is only due to upadhi only. Therefore, I had to see in and through the upadhi, the existence that pervades all over. So we cannot divide the existence, and even though seemingly it is dividing. For example, I have the glass here. We say glass exists, but glass is different from the rest of the surroundings. So it says what? It has, glass exists, glass is, when you say glass is, glass exists. Now is the existence a property of the glass? So existence is not a property, because a property is that which differentiates one object from the other object. But the space is also, we say place is, space also exists. So existence is there in the space, existence is there in the glass. So is the existence in the glass different from existence in the space, surrounding space? I cannot differentiate, because the existence itself is indivisible. Just as the space here and the space in the glass, the walls and the space inside is one. So in and through the things, the space is pervading. In the same way, I had to see in and through every name and form that I am transacting with. So the varieties and varieties are there in the creation, but everything exists. So existence pervades every object. Same way, consciousness also pervades every object, but doesn't express itself in the form of consciousness in the inert things that we see. But existence is what is expressed as a Brahman. Brahman is expressed as existence. But for inert things, consciousness has to come into picture to recognize the presence of inert things. So therefore, it is both the nama and rupa. Nama means knowledge of its existence has to come, and rupa is the attributes of the object. So vividhaha. So for that, whenever I transact with, I am seeing the nama and a rupa of the whole world that which exists, and that which exists and supports all that is the Brahman, and that is that pervading Vishnu has to be recognized through viveka. So therefore viveka is that which differentiates, that which is changing things, and that which changeless things in all the changing things. So this is Hrishikesha. So Hrishikesha actually means is the one who has etymologically the one who has tied his hair. Hrishikesha, that's one meaning. So hair is that which is born out of a living being, right? Hair is That would, in the Mundaka Upanishad, in the creation is explained as yathorna visrujate grunhate cha yatha prithivya oshadayaha sambhavanti yatha nataha purushat keshalomani tata akshara sambhavati vishwam. So yatha nataha purushat keshalomani, just as from the living being, purushat, the human being, the keshalomani, the nails and the hair comes out, is from a conscious entity, the unconscious entity as though coming out, because hair is not a conscious and the nails are not conscious, and we can cut the hair. That's why we go to the barber shop and we don't cry when he's cutting, because there is no life in the hair. At the same time, where is it coming? From the conscious entity, as though unconscious entity is born, because nadaha purushat, from the living being only, non-living things are coming out, as though. In the same way, Tata aksharat sambhavati vishwam. In the same way, from aksharat, that which is indestructible, that which is Satchid Ananda Swarupam, Vishwam sambhavati iha. This universe is formed. That's from the Mundaka Upanishad. Mundaka Upanishad says that's how the creation is. It is from as a upadana karanam. So that is, Hrishikesha is the one who has tied the hair. That means he has understood what is there behind the Kesha also. So another meaning of Hrishika, Ishaha. Hrishika means the senses. Ishaha means the Lord. So Hrishika Ishaha means who is the Lord of the senses. So who is the Lord of the senses? The one who can use as its service, for its service is the Lord. So the one who uses the senses is the one who is the Lord of the senses. And what is the Lord? Who is the Lord? What makes the senses function? This is how the Kenopanishad in fact starts. It is the eye of the eye, ear of the ear. That's the Lord. That because of which the eye is able to see. That because of which ears are able to hear. That because of which the mind is able to think or mind its business. So, Shotrasya Sotram Manaso Manoyat Vachoha Vacham Nahu Pranasya Pranaha Chachushasya Chachuhu Atimutya Dhiraha Pretyasman Lokad Amruta Bhavanti. It's from the Kenopanishad. It says it is the eye of the eye, ear of the ear, mind of the mind, and the life of the life. Pranasya Pranaha. So it is that because of which eye functions. So that eyes cannot see, but because of which eyes can see. Yat chakshusha napasyati, ena chakshum sapasyati, tadeva brahmatvam viddhi, nedam yedam upasate. In the Kenopanishad it says that because of which eyes can see, the eyes itself cannot see, but because of which eyes can see, that alone is Brahman, not this that you worship here. So here, the Hrishika Ishaha is the Lord of the senses. This is very life principle or Chaitanya Swarupam. And that Nanopadigato Vibhuhu, it as though appears associated with the Upadi, it is appearing as varieties and varieties of things. Just as Yatha Akashaha, just as this space appearing as different types of conditioned spaces. So implication is all upadhi means instruments that we are using, including the body, mind, intellect, everything is upadhi. That which is a conditioned consciousness is nothing but the conscious Satchidananda Swarupam itself in projected form, prakalpita, as though appearing. And using that, going to the next sloka where this is emphasized from that point. Nanopadi-vasha-deva, Nanopadi-vasha-deva, Jati-varnashramadayaha, Jati-varnashramadayaha, Atmaya opitasto ye Atmaya aropitasto ye rasavarnadi bedhavatu. Rasavarnadi bedhavatu. Atmanya aropitasto ye Anyaropitasto ye rasavarnadi bhedavatu. Together. Nanopadi vashadeva jati varnashramaadayaha atmanyaropitasto ye rasavarnadi bhedavatu. Therefore, all these varieties of upadhi means conditionings, makes one different from the other. So, ring is different from a bangle because of the conditioning of the form. That form conditions and says that form we call it as a ring and this form we call it a bangle. So, bangle and a ring names are given not to the gold but to the conditioned gold which has in this form, conditioned in that form. That's only superficial imposition on top of the gold which cannot be conditioned. So in the same way, Nana Upadhi Vashat Eva, because of varieties and varieties of Upadhi conditionings, because of that only, Jati Varna Ashramaadayaha, Jati Varna Adi. Jati is caste, Varna is color, Jati Varna, Ashrama. Ashrama is position, etc., etc., Adaya, etc. So, differences of, hey, he is this Jati and is a caste wise, is a Brahmana, is a Kshatriya, is Sudra or Vaisya. All these classifications are not to the Atma, all-pervading Atma, because the same Atma, Sachidananda Swarupam, is pervades in the Brahmana, in the Vaisya, in the Kshatriya, in the Sudra. So from the point of all-pervading consciousness existence, there cannot be any difference. But what is the difference is only in the Upadhi only, in the form that is taken. Just as the ring is different from the bangle. So ring jati, all varieties of rings is different from varieties of bangles and varieties of the bracelets, necklaces and so on. But that has nothing to do with the gold itself. So all the upadhi properties do not belong to the Atma. So, nanopadi vashat eva jati varna ashramadayaha. So, these are all, therefore, it is superimposition on top of the gold, just as Atmani aropitaha toye rasavarnadi bedavatu. So, all these are Atmani aropitaha. This is all superimposition on consciousness. Atmani here is existent consciousness. It's only superimposition. So superficial superimposition. Because the original one still remains as original. So it is superficial superimposition, just as the ring is only a superficial superimposition on gold and a bangle and a necklace. So what value we can give for the ring versus the bangle? The utility is different. The shape is different, all attributes of the ring are different from the bangle, and therefore I can value in terms of when I want to use a ring, I have to use a ring where the ring can be used only, where the bangle can be used only, I have to use the bangle there. So purpose of in the transactional world, I have to differentiate a ring from a bangle. So ring utility is different from a bangle utility. So for transactional purposes, within the realm of transactions, jati, varna, ashramas are different. So an engineer is engineer, officer is officer, servant is servant. Each position is depending upon their qualifications at that level. So one is essentially an officer is qualified to do that, and a clerk is qualified only to that part, whereas a servant is only qualified to that. The discrimination is on the basis of the discrimination of one is an officer, one is a clerk and one is a servant, is based on their upadhis. Upadhis both body and the mind and intellectual level, and that differentiates. All are within that level, but from from the point of essence, essence is the same. I think there is a song by I forgot the name. Acharya. The sleep of whether the king or the beggar is the same. Why? In that state of sleep, it's pure existence only. There is no differentiation. Only when they get up from the sleep, one is identified with the particular upadhi. Hey, I am a beggar, and other one identifies I am a king. So, from the point of understanding wise, this jati, varna, ashrama, etc. are only at the transactional level. For the absolute level, there is no difference of any kind in the Vekachudamani. Jati niti kula gotra duragam nama rupa guna dosha varjitam desakala vishayati vartiyatu brahma tattvamasi bhavayatmani. So what is that Brahman? That is jati niti kula gotra duragam. It's different from jati, niti, kulam, gotram, all that. There is only at the transactional level. Don't get mistaken from and transform this into the absolute level. At the transaction level, for whatever the transactions that are required, that has to be used. Those differences have to be used. But at the point of absolute, there is no difference of any kind, because all differences only at the vyaktayaha, at the manifested forms only, due to upadhi, due to conditioning at the body level, conditioning at the mind level, or at the conditioning at the intellectual level. And those differences should not be carried beyond the vyavahara. At the paramarthika level, everything is just one. And here he gives an example. Toye rasavarnadi bhedavatu. Toye, in the water, rasavarnadi. Rasavarna means different taste, etc. Bhedavatu. As differences of taste, colors and all that are superimposed on colorless, odorless, tasteless water. So property of the water is, it's colorless, it is odorless, it is tasteless, but if you go to Madras and drink water, it have all sorts of tastes. So that is nothing to do with the real water. The real water anywhere is H2O is colorless and tasteless. So therefore, if the water tastes good or bad, it is only a superimposition. Something other than the water is superimposed in water. So that's what is the differentiation here is. Rasavarnadi bedavatu. In the same way, all other distinctions that we see in this world, jati, varna, ashrama, etc., are only have to be kept at the transaction level. Understanding at the absolute level, there is no distinctions of any kind. So for a spiritual teacher, for a spiritual student, this has to be understood clearly. When I am transacting the world, I should also have a vision that from the point of the totality or from the point of the absolute truth, there is no difference of any kind, and that vision should be there, and while transacting within the differences of vyavahara. In that way, one cannot but be compassionate. There cannot be a discriminative process where I try to hurt other people in the process, because they are nothing but the Vishnu only, Lord Vishnu only, in a different form. So Swamiji gives here an example. It's the same electricity current passing through different types of equipments give different expressions. So it's the same current. When it goes through the refrigerator, it is cooling, or when it goes to the heater, it is heating. So the properties of the equipments, upadhis, do not belong to that, because of which it is functioning, without which it cannot function. So that has to be understood. So even though a person may be misbehaving and causing problems, you have to deal with that level. Just as our gods, all our gods are fully equipped with all the missiles and missiles, all the gadas and the arrows and all that instruments in order to punish that who is adharmic or that is contributing to adharma. And at the same time, recognizing very well the Lord himself is pervading even them also. So one should not be confused with the transactional reality and the absolute reality. But a realized person is the one who have both the vision of the nitya as well as the anitya. And while transacting, he will transact with a clear understanding of that, where he doesn't get emotionally attached but need to act as the demand, as per the demand. Now, how does this transformation of which is very subtle, just as the akasha becoming into the condition by difference, how is that from the total, which is Satchidananda Swarupam, which is undifferentiated, homogeneous, uniformly present, how is that into becoming these inert things as well? So that is being explained in the next sloka. Panchikruta Mahabhuta Sambhavam Karma Sanchitam Bhavam Karma Sanchitam Sariram Sukha Dukkhanam Bhogayatana Muchyate Panchikruta Mahabhuta Sambhavam Karma Sanchitam Sariram Sukha Dukkhanam Bhogayatana Muchyate. So Panchikrutam Mahabhuta Sambhavam Karma Sanchitam. So this process is being explained here. So it's first, from the Atma, these 5 subtle elements are born. So if you go to Taittiriya Upanishad, it says small akasha atmana akasha sambhutaha. So from Atma, akasha is born. Akashat vayuhu. From akasha, the air is born. Vayu agnihi. From air, the fire is born. Agni apaha. From Agni, the water is born. Abja Prithvi. From the water, the earth is formed. So that's how the subtle elements are formed from Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apaha, Prithvi. Those are called Tanmatras, subtle elements. And subtle elements result into subtle upadhis. So the mind, etc. are formed by these subtle elements. Now, how the gross things are formed? The whole earth, the whole universe seems to be very gross that we see, and subtle things we cannot see. So how did this form? It's called Panchikrutam. Panchikrutam is a process by which the it's called grossification, by which from the subtle elements, gross elements are forming. So how is it done? The process is not described here. In a sense, these 5 elements, Akasha, Vayuhu, Agnihi, Apaha, Prithvi, the subtle elements, each divides into 2 parts. So the Akasha has 2 parts of Akasha, and each, like that, Vayu also has 2 parts, like that each element divides into 2 parts, and one part of those 2 parts further divides into 4 more parts. So that small part will be 1/8 of Akasha, similarly 1/8 of the Vayu, etc. Each one is, that half of those is divided into 4 subparts, and each subpart of Akasha, like 4 subparts of Akasha is there, is distributed to other 4 elements. So Vayu will get 1/8 of Akasha, and Vayu also will get 1/8 of Agni, and Apaha, Prithvi. Like that each element, subtle element, will get 1/8 of other 4 elements. So Akasha now, in this process of Panchikaranam, grossification, will get the half of itself plus 1/8 of Vayuhu, 1/8 of Agnihi, Apaha, Prithvi. Total again becoming a full. So this process is called Panchikaranam. So Akasha has the dominant part is Akasha, and then it picks up 1/8 of other elements. Vayu has dominant part as Vayu and 1/8 of other 4 elements. Like that, each one has a dominant part of itself, that is half of it, and 1/8 of the other 4, and that constituting the total, and that's called Panchikrutam. And by that, a grossification, that's called grossification. Now gross matter as though is produced. By that it becomes a material cause for the gross world. So this process is essential for as the material cause for the creation of the whole universe itself, the gross world, and therefore all talks about galaxies, and galaxies is nothing but the Prithvi with all the 4 parts involved. So all these whole 14 worlds are created according to our scriptures. There are 14 worlds are created after this Panchikaranam. So once the creation has been done, then the bodies are created, depending the Sariram. This body also part of this gross matter, this is called Sthula Sariram, and this is also created by the same after this grossification using those 5. So each Sariram has Akasha, Vayuhu, Agnihi, Apaha, Prithvi. All those elements are there in the Sariram. Similarly, other Sarirams are also, other bodies are created in different worlds. So in the earth we have this, all different varieties of animals are there, as well as the human being. When you go to Devaloka, Gandharva Loka, in each lokas there are bodies that are created conducive to exhaust their vasanas in that loka. So in every loka, required bodies are created based on this particular process of after Panchikrutam, using the gross matter. Now why is the Sariram created? On what basis? What basis I have this kind of body and not that kind of body? Why am I a male or why am I female and so on? Why am I a human being, or what these trees and elements and so on, varieties of things are created in this, varieties of beings are created. On what basis? Is it random basis? Is the creation is really random, or is somebody deciding at his beck and whatever that whims and fancies he creates different people? He says, Sariram Sukha Dukkhanam Bhogayatanam, which is the Panchikruta Mahabhuta Sambhavam Karma Sanchitam. So Sanchita Karma is the one that is motivating for this creation. So even this Panchikruta process and grossification and creation of particular Sariram is based on a demand by the Sanchita Karma. That is the total karma that I have in my bank balance, of which that part of the karma which is ready to fructify or ready to germinate, that part is called prarabdha karma, and that part motivates a particular sariram which is conducive to exhaust that karma. So karma is the previous vasanas, the samskaras that are in the subtle form is now expressing, and for that to express, to enjoy sukha dukkhanam, the pleasures and sukham and dukkham, happiness and suffering, because of the actions that I have done in the past, I have to enjoy or suffer the consequence of the egotistical actions that I have done in my previous life or in the previous cycle of creation, and that forms a basis for me to take up a particular body. So that Shariram therefore is not randomly created or created because of somebody else's whims and fancies, but it is created because of the prarabdha karma, which is coming from the total sanchita karma. That part which is ready to germinate or ready to fructify is the cause for particular body, because that particular body alone is conducive to exhaust those particular karmas because of which I have to go through Sukham, Dukkham. So what's the ratio of Sukham and Dukkham? Depending upon the type of actions that I have done in the past. That determines what kind of whether I am going to be in the Sukham or Dukkham or proportion of the Sukha Dukkha. Depending on that, I have a Sarira. So our theory of creation is not, if you look at any other religion, it says you are just created because somebody ate an apple or somebody did something. So there is no basis for that creation. Why am I born in a particular place? Why am I born with some silver spoon or a gold spoon or a wooden spoon or no spoon at all? What is this randomly created? Some children not done anything but yet suffering from the childhood on. So if you ask this, it makes no sense unless we attribute that there cannot be anything randomly, because this is an ordered system. Therefore, he has to have done something in the past, and that is what karma sanchitam, that is what the sanchita karma that he has accumulated in the previous life. Therefore, this life is not the beginning. There is a continuous life, and whatever life I have is due to the result of previous karmas, and what I am going to have in future is previous karmas modified by present actions. That determines my future life. Which one has a stronger effect? Okay, I think we are coming to we'll address that issues and in the next class. Basically, in essence, the one that we are doing right now has a stronger effect compared to the previous sanchita karmas. That is at least from the answer point. But particular Sariram is based on our previous karmas. We will address this in the next class. Now we will do Purnamada Purnamidam story. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.